So this morning I was just taking some time to read the Bible, and I actually came across some verses that I felt were so timely and full of wisdom. You know, I love that the Bible actually has real practical wisdom for us today. And I was reading in 1 Peter where he's talking to the believers and giving them some advice of what to do when they come across hard times with their government, in society, with people not liking them, people speaking bad about them. And I found that it's such a time right now in the world where society tends to give Christians a hard time, and especially in North America. And it's been a difficult time, and it seems like sometimes we get a lot of hate against us. And so I thought, let's go back and see what the Bible actually says about what to do in these hard times. And I love that in 1 Peter 2, it talks all about being good to others. It talks about, even in chapter 4, about using your gifts, about blessing others, speaking to them, helping them, lending out a helping hand, showing love, giving them a meal, doing some real good practical things. And in chapter 2, I thought it was so interesting because it says even about respecting authorities and respecting the government. It says, make the master proud of you by being good citizens. Respect the authorities, whatever their level. It means not trash talking the people who are in government, even when we don't agree with them. It doesn't mean posting everything on Facebook and tearing everyone down, because that really doesn't actually do much good. And then it says, it is God's will that by doing good, you might cure the ignorance of the fools who think you're a danger to society. Now, honestly, a lot of people right now, I think that Christians are a danger to society. They think that we're full of hatred. They think that we're always fighting against people. And I realize here that the Bible tells us how to stop that. It's not about fighting against it. It's not about posting against it. But it's actually about doing good. And I saw even lately a lot of stories about this, you know, about churches who had gathered together a lot of money to do something and instead paid off people's hospital bills. You know, about churches who had gone out in the streets and actually given food to the homeless and done things, built homes for people, you know, gathered money for those who had been lost their homes on the fires and done things for them. And I realized that how are you going to silence when people are talking about you? It's not about fighting back. It's not about trying to prove yourself. It's actually about how you can do this. Is about doing good, loving on people, because when you're loving on people, nobody can talk bad about that, you know. And I love that even the next verse says like this: exercise your freedom by serving God, not by breaking the rules. Treat everyone you meet with dignity. Love your spiritual family, revere God, and respect the government. This is maybe not the advice you wanted to hear from me today, but I realize that it's something that I'm also teaching myself, is that at a time when Christianity is not always loved by everyone, how can we make it more lovable? It's probably not about fighting back or discussing all the things that we don't like in the world, because they're doing that to us. But instead, it's about taking some time and showing God's love to people around us. It's about respecting people. It's about respecting the government. It's about, you know what, showing with, as an example, you know, what Jesus has done for us. So this is not about correcting any one of you here today, but I just thought I'd take a moment and let's think about who we really are to the world, and let's follow the advice of the Bible. And instead of putting someone down today or fighting against something, can I encourage you today as a challenge to instead think about who you can show love to? Who is someone that you can do something good for, even if they're not a believer, even if they don't agree with you? Who's just someone you can show love to? And maybe bit by bit, one act of love for another, maybe we can change people's mind about us after all.